Comair's case against South African Airways has been dismissed with no costs. The private aviation group approached the North Gauteng High Court in Pretoria in a bid to ask the court to stop SAA from getting government guarantees.
Comair, which manages British Airways local flights and now low-cost airline Kulula, says the state entity is getting an unfair advantage over other commercial operators who do not have the luxury of government bailouts. In 2012, SAA told Parliament it needed between 4 billion and 6 billion rand for a recapitalisation program. One of the conditions for the guarantee was that SAA's board had to develop a turnaround strategy.
Well, Comair wants government to let SAA face its financial challenges without further help. Judge Hans Fabricius spent less than 1 minute on the judgment and then walked out.
In this case, I've prepared a written judgment which I will hand down. I will only read out the last two paragraphs, which read as follows. 1. The application is dismissed. 2. No order as to cost is made. I hand down the judgment. Thank you. Court adjourns.
Well, there you have it. Well, more from our reporter Mogeni Mutwa, who's in Pretoria. Mogeni, good afternoon. Well, let's just start with the delivery of the ruling by Judge Fabricius. That was awfully short, less than 30 seconds. Is that unusual?
It's definitely unusual, Devin. In fact, I would venture to say that Judge Hans Fabricius might have made another history here by delivering the shortest, possibly the shortest judgment in history. Of course, you remember that last month he made history again when he ruled in favor of a terminally ill man from Cape Town who wanted to be euthanized. And the judge gave him that permission to be killed by a doctor of his choice, raising many eyebrows, of course, Devin. So I guess we can say it's in character with Judge Hans Fabricius to do the unexpected.
Okay, so good news for South African Airways. Now, if Comair had won it, it would have been the beginning of the end for SAA, I would imagine, but that's not the case. So what does this ruling now mean for the state carrier?
Well, it means that SAA has been given a lease of life, possibly a very long lease of life by this judgment. If the judge had granted Comair's application, SAA would have had to cease to exist, would have had to close shop. As you may be aware, SAA is technically insolvent. It has been for many years now, which means that it can't survive on its own resources. It can't fly or continue to fly and operate on its own without state support. And that was at the heart of this application, with wanting the court to rule the guarantees that the government provides to SAA as illegal and unconstitutional. Of course, Judge Hans Fabricius, once now where we have had a chance to peruse the judgment, he basically agreed with the state's case or the state's response, saying that the guarantees that government gives to SAA are taken on the basis that SAA is a strategic national asset and that a chaotic demise of SAA would be disastrous for the economy and government's developmental agenda. And Judge Fabricius agreeing with the state, saying that the state has every right in the Constitution to take decisions that it deems to be in the national interest. Basically, that's how Comair lost this case, Devin.
So what about Comair? I mean, the airline had previously stated that they would have to re-look at their position if they lose. What's the next step for them?
Well, interestingly, when the hearing took place here last month, over a period of about 5 days, the CEO of Comair, Eric Venter, was in court sitting through the arguments day in, day out for the whole day, for the rest of the hearing. But today, he was a no-show. He was not in court. There was no one from Comair. So we did not get a chance to actually get their fresh response to the judgment. But during the hearing, he did indicate to us that if they lose, they would not necessarily have or consider pulling out of the South African market as such, but they would have to, for instance, scale down the money that they invest in, for instance, buying new planes and so on, because they feel that with the current state of affairs, it's very difficult for commercial airlines, private airlines, to compete on an equal footing with SAA. So basically, one would expect that that still remains their position. Of course, we are looking out maybe for a statement from Comair. Maybe it's going to come through later in the day, but so far we haven't seen anything, Devin.
Well, thanks very much indeed. Mongeni Mutwa there in Pretoria at the High Court, the judge dismissing Comair's application there to have SAA guarantees ended.